Do you regret ever getting involved in...
I didn't have a choice. It got bad when I was about 15 years old because when I did MTV Cribs, the day that I had to go show off that house, my mom and my dad told me, we're getting a divorce, but you still have to go do this. I had to go show off all the stuff my whole life that was going to be taken.
New and surprising revelations have brought Diddy's connection to Aaron Carter back into the spotlight, generating significant discussion on social media. According to sources, these recent details have caused concern among Diddy's legal team about potential challenges ahead. What might be driving their worries? Could this be a pivotal moment leading to major developments? What's your take on what could be happening behind the scenes?
All partied with Diddy. It's hard for me to truly get invested in what's happening to Liam Payne right now because I haven't gotten over what happened to Nick. Nick's brother, Aaron Carter.
Right.
A lot of people keep forgetting Aaron Carter was begging for help, begging for independent financing, begging for security.
Aaron Carter's passing in 2022 was officially ruled as an accidental drowning, yet some fans and observers continue to raise questions about the circumstances. How could such a heartbreaking incident occur in a seemingly safe environment? Over the years, there has been speculation about topics Aaron may have wanted to address publicly, with some believing he had more to share. While those discussions remain unconfirmed, attention has now shifted to Diddy, as several voices have begun to share their experiences and perspectives. Is this all just coincidence, or part of a much larger story still unfolding?
First week of the testimony in the sex trial against Sean Combs ended with a former member of one of Combs' musical groups on the witness stand. Dawn Richard says that she saw Combs attack Cassie Ventura in 2009. Richard is suing Combs in federal court, accusing him of sexual assault and battery. She'll be back on the witness stand on Monday. Richard's civil lawsuit is still pending. Does that impact how these attorneys approach her? If they try to color this as some way of I guess, supporting her civil case, how does that difference impact the approach to these witnesses?
I think that can be argued either way. For instance, where the fact that Ms. Ventura's case, her civil case is already settled and the money's already been received, to me, that doesn't count against her. Perhaps it counts to her credibility because she chose to participate in the criminal trial anyway. However, where Ms. Richard is concerned, the fact that she is participating when, frankly, a criminal conviction may harm her ability to recover. It may harm Mr. Combs' ability to have the finances, the funding to be able to make any recovery. So there are risks either way. I just think that as people are watching, they need to remember trials involve humans and humans are messy. So you don't have any purity tests in terms of your witness is on the stand and has never done anything wrong, or your defendant is on the stand and has never done anything right. There's a lot going on both sides, and it really is up to the jury to ferret that out as long as they are given the right facts and the proper instructions.
Diddy is once again in the public spotlight as new media reports bring attention to various issues linked to his professional and personal life. Recent discussions have raised questions related to business dealings and how celebrity influence can impact decision-making. In the past week, several individuals, including former associates and public figures like Donady Kane's Dawn Richard and a close acquaintance of Cassie, have shared their personal viewpoints. As more people add their voices to the conversation, the situation continues to evolve. What are your thoughts on how these developments might shape public perception?
Dawn Richard said, "You've met with government prosecutors 8 times over the last year and a half. And over the course of those 8 meetings, you've changed your story at least 4 times when it comes to multiple incidents." And Richard acknowledged that her story has changed. And she said that it's really just about her memory, that she tried to block all of these things out, and that she's been trying to remember, and all of these meetings with prosecutors has helped her. But it was not good for her that her story has changed so many times. And then they also doubled down on the fact that she has filed her own civil suit seeking money from Combs.
Chloe, we know Cassie Ventura's former best friend is also testifying today. What has she said so far?
So her name is Carrie Gordon, and when Cassie Ventura was on the stand last week, she talked a lot about this friend of hers that witnessed a lot of the abuse, so that this was someone that she confided in. And Miss Gordon, she's already taken the stand for a few hours. Right now, they're on a lunch break, and she's expected to return this afternoon. And she said, look, I don't really even want to be here. I was given a subpoena. I'm forced to be here to testify. I haven't spoken to Combs or Miss Ventura since 2018.
The FBI has shared information uncovered during searches of Diddy's residences, providing new insights into the ongoing investigation. At the same time, Diddy's legal team is actively responding, challenging the claims made. With both sides presenting their cases, what do you think will be the outcome? Could this mark a significant turning point in the investigation?
News: the Department of Homeland Security has just confirmed to CNN that federal law enforcement agents have raided properties owned by musician and producer Sean Diddy Combs. Let's bring in CNN security correspondent Josh Campbell and CNN legal analyst Joey Jackson. Josh, let me start with you. What do these raids by federal agents in multiple locations tell you about the seriousness of this investigation?
Yeah, Wolf, a very significant development here, seeing this law enforcement action taking place. I'll point out, just to be clear at the outset, we don't know that Sean Diddy Combs himself is the subject or target of a federal investigation. So it's just worth pointing that out at this hour. But what we do know is that two properties associated with him, we saw the feds descend on those properties. We saw on aerial footage, federal agents both here in the Los Angeles area as well as in Miami at those residences. Now, the Department of Homeland Security, their what's called HSI, Homeland Security Investigations, gave CNN a statement. I'll read you part of that when asked about what this activity is. They say that earlier today, HSI New York executed law enforcement actions as part of an ongoing investigation with assistance from HSI Los Angeles, HSI Miami, and our local law enforcement partners. That is it, confirming that they are conducting what they're deeming law enforcement action, which could indicate search warrants being conducted there, could indicate arrests being conducted. We just don't know at this hour specifically what that law enforcement action is. It is worth pointing out, though, that Combs himself obviously has faced significant legal woes in recent months. I'll give you just the highlights of what actually occurred in November. He was sued for rape and abuse by a former partner. That lawsuit was then settled very quickly. But in December, he faced sexual assault allegations in a complaint filed in the Southern District of New York. The suit was brought by a woman referred to as Jane Doe, who said that she was 17 at the time when these allegations took place back in 2003.
This trial goes beyond one individual. It highlights concerns about the misuse of power and influence. Officials suggest that Diddy may be connected to a group involved in serious legal matters, including trafficking, unauthorized movement of people, and financial irregularities. The case took a significant turn when federal agents conducted raids at Diddy's residences in Miami and Los Angeles, confiscating various items such as hard drives, computers, cash, and documents. Major agencies like the FBI, IRS, and Homeland Security are involved in the investigation. What are your thoughts? How extensive do you think this situation might be?
The feds had collected, at least in part. We also learned the charges that Diddy faced. Conspiracy, force fraud, coercion, and transportation to engage in prostitution. And again, Diddy's pleaded not guilty and denies those allegations. But this indictment, this OG indictment, which by the way, there's been a couple of superseding ones, adding a couple of charges here and there. Anyway, going back to the holy grail of it all, the original indictment, that's where we learned about what was collected, including all of that lube and baby oil. And all of this leads us straight back to the freak-offs and the civil cases that preceded the federal search warrants and then eventually the indictment. So Cassie, I know I talk about Cassie all the time, but we wouldn't be here were it not for Cassie. And Cassie's lawsuit is the one that first mentioned freak-offs. We've heard about them again from Lil Rod. We've seen them in multiple different civil suits now, and additionally in the federal indictment. And here's how the Fed specifically explained freak-offs. Freak-offs were elaborate and sex performances that Combs arranged, directed, masqueraded during, and often electronically recorded. Now, they also listed a couple of items that were used during these freak-offs, at least according to the Feds. They said that there were controlled substances used, and this was specifically to allegedly keep the victims obedient and compliant. The Feds also state that during these freak-off situations, recording devices were used. Now, sometimes the people involved in the freak-offs allegedly didn't know that they were being recorded. And then Other times, Diddy and his team, allegedly, would use these recordings as revenge porn and say, hey, if you come forward and report this to anyone, we've got this really embarrassing video. Why would you do that? So that's an allegation too. The feds also say